Happy Election Day to Michigan. We're really excited to be an early primary state in this crucial moment for America's democracy. And after a very successful run of early voting and no reason absentee voting, where over 1 million citizens have already cast their ballots in this presidential primary, we're really excited for today, the last day of this primary election, where we're seeing a steady stream of voters throughout the state. We're certainly seeing the reflection of the fact that many citizens have already voted, but we're optimistic as we see things going smoothly at polling places like this one in Detroit and all around the state, that citizens are participating and making their voice heard. Things to watch for today are certainly not just turnout, but we'll be providing you updates throughout the day on the other types of statistics we're seeing in different pockets of the state. We know Ann Arbor is already leading the state in high turnout. We know Detroit is also seeing a lot of people participating, which is very encouraging. And we'll be visiting polling places throughout the day to check in on things, both in this part of the state and on the west side of the state, so that we can get a sense of not just how things are going, but what we need to do to prepare for the upcoming elections in August and November. For citizens sitting at home and wondering what to do today, if you haven't already voted, we encourage you to vote. Polls are open all across the state in your local precincts until 8 p.m. today. If you're not registered, you can register to vote at your local clerk's location. If you still have a ballot, an absentee ballot, and you haven't returned it, take it to your local clerk's office or a local drop box in order to have that ballot counted. It has to be received by 8 o'clock. And of course, if you haven't voted yet and are registered, you can go to any local precinct, to your local precinct in your neighborhood, and you can find the specific location for your local precinct at michigan.gov/vote. The last thing I'll say, and I've been saying this to Michigan citizens all throughout the voting process, is that the eyes of the nation are on our state today. We know that the eyes of the country will continue to be on Michigan throughout this presidential election cycle. And I ask voters to consider that as they consider whether to participate or how to cast their vote today. It's really important that we flex our muscles, use our power, and no matter how someone's going to cast their ballot or who they're going to vote for, we want citizens to know this is your chance to not just be heard, but to show the power of participation. The power of showing up sends a message that you will hold elected officials accountable, that you are paying attention, and that you take seriously your vote in every election. So I hope citizens hear that, and again, no matter what side of the aisle they may be on or in the middle, that they choose to cast their ballots today, not just in reflection of who they might be supporting in this election cycle, but to show that they're engaged, that they're showing up, and that Michigan is ready to take seriously our responsibility to the nation to send a message and also ensure that we are a part of electing the next president of the United States. Happy to take any questions. Yes.
Madam Secretary, and I covered you over the years, and I probably have a sense of how you're going to answer this question. But you are a leading Democrat, manage the state election process for the state. But there is a movement, don't know how big or small it is, there is a movement of other Democrats who are saying vote uncommitted in the Democratic side of the primary to send a message to the Biden administration. Do you have any reaction to that?
I think the beautiful thing, the thing I love about democracy and about voting, is that it is our chance, every citizen's chance, to show their power and to send messages and to elect candidates who reflect their values and to hold accountable those who they feel don't. And so I would just simply encourage every citizen to know the power of their voice and the power of their vote and to exercise it in whatever way they feel is most authentic to them. That's what democracy is. That's the beauty of days like today. And that's what I'm proud as Michigan State Election Officer to make real for every citizen.
Is there a tentative timeline where we might expect results tonight?
As always, we will not begin releasing results until after 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, because we have several polling sites that don't close until 8 p.m. Central, 3 counties in particular. And so don't expect anything before 9 o'clock Eastern. At the same time, we have the advantage this season or this cycle of citizens or clerks being able to tabulate absentee ballots as we go forward. And so a lot of those, if not all of those 1 million votes that were cast before today have already gone through the process of being tabulated. So I'm optimistic we'll be able to get results as soon as possible. It may not come until late this evening, it may not come until tomorrow. Certainly final unofficial results may not come until mid-morning or noon tomorrow. It remains to be seen, but I'm always impressed by the efficiency of our counting boards, and they've got new tools, more tools than before, to improve that efficiency while also prioritizing the security of the process. So all that to say is we'll see. I'll also mention, as some of you may know, the transmission of data and results from the precincts to the absentee counting boards to the county clerks is also going to be a little bit slower now this cycle, because we no longer use previously used methods, which were electronic. Now a lot of places are physically delivering those in an effort to continue to ensure the security of the process. So that may take longer, particularly in places like Wayne County and Macomb, and we will be updating you as we go forward so that you know everything we know about results that are being transmitted, and that we all can rest assured that clerks are doing everything they can efficiently and also securely.
I know that you spoke a little bit about the uncommitted vote. Can you speak a little bit more about that, and are you worried that people might not turn out to vote in the primary at all?
Well, I hope every citizen turns out to vote in this primary, because it's a crucial opportunity not just to weigh in on the presidential primary process, but also to show we're engaged at this stage of the process, to show Michigan is paying attention, and that we take seriously our role not just as an early primary state, but as a state that will likely influence, if not determine, the results of the next presidential election. So to me, a vote, no matter how it's cast today, is a reflection of us all saying we are engaged and we are here. And for young voters, old voters, voters all across the state, again, no matter which party they may be participating in, we want to send a message to everyone running and seeking to be president and sworn in as president in January of 2025 that Michigan is engaged. We care, we are watching, and we're going to be a part of this process, and you will hear our voices no matter how we choose to express them.
Madam Secretary,
Yeah.
if you will, can you speak to passing of the torch? You know, with the older generation, they've been voting for the last 40, 50 years. Now our generation, Gen X, maybe we want to see somebody from our generation hold office. Can you speak to that passing of the torch?
Well, I think when selecting our leaders, noting wisdom and experience is a positive thing, certainly in times like this where we need statesmen to heal a country that has been divided for far too long. In my view, this election, and we'll see this over the next 9 months, is an opportunity for we as Americans to make a very clear statement about who we want to be in the next few years. How will our country be defined? Will we continue to potentially go down a path of division and noise and rancor? Or will we choose to reject candidates and leaders who try to divide and spread misinformation and spread lies, knowing that it's going to cause greater division, and instead support those on either side of the aisle that speak the truth, that try to heal, that try to bring us together, and really lead us forward as we collectively solve problems as leaders. Now, generationally, that can come from young and old, and I always believe that diversity and diverse perspectives is what makes our country beautiful and great, and it's what democracy is all about. And so I think the more leaders we have representing all aspects and perspectives in our state and our country, the better off we'll all be if those leaders remain committed to solving problems, to disagreeing without being disagreeable, and really recognizing our job is to serve and to heal and to bring people together, as opposed to divide, cause confusion or chaos.
Are there any concerns about election integrity or security given what happened in 2020 here? Have you heard about anything like
I think our biggest concerns going into this election cycle really circle around misinformation and the way in which artificial intelligence and other uses of technology by domestic or foreign adversaries could be used to confuse citizens about how to exercise their vote and what's even at stake in this particular election. I consider misinformation and particularly the use of artificial intelligence to spread misinformation to be potentially the greatest threat to election security this year. And we are grateful for the legislature to give us tools to combat artificial intelligence. But the bottom line is every citizen needs to take seriously their role to become educated, engaged, and not be fooled by the lies and misinformation that not just candidates, but adversaries to democracy are going to try to inject into our political discourse this cycle. My work and the work with business leaders, labor leaders, education leaders, other community leaders this year will be to try to prepare citizens for that influx ahead of time with the truth and the knowledge of our elections, the security of our election processes, and where to go for answers when you do have questions. Your local clerk and your Secretary of State's office is always your trusted source of information about elections, but we're also equipping faith leaders, leaders, business leaders, labor leaders, educational leaders with those facts as well, so that they in turn can be trusted sources of information for citizens in our state. All right, thanks everyone. See you throughout the day. Thanks for being here today.